Hi, and welcome to Rosebread Homestead. Today we're going to do mushrooms. I can't wait. The other day I was talking to my sister Cindy. She is the one that is co-authoring the book with me, and we were talking about a lot of different things, and she said, Pam, you should do mushrooms. I said, what do you mean I should do mushrooms? And she said, I use mushrooms all the time, and I want to be sure that I have them in storage, and right now all I have is the canned ones, and they sometimes are kind of rubbery. So why don't you dehydrate them and freeze dry them? So this is why we are doing mushrooms today. And Jim found some beautiful young mushrooms that are just gorgeous. He bought me 10 pounds. This is about half of them. And so we're going to fill the dehydrator today and the freeze dryer. I already have some ideas about what we're going to do with these mushrooms. One of the things I like about doing things like this is I like to get the produce in the market when I can get it, because with our supply chains the way they are and with shortages that we are experiencing, we never know when something is not going to be available. And I also want a supply of mushrooms. I love mushrooms, so we're going to get to it in just a moment. Thanks for being with us, and we really appreciate the fact that you tune into our videos. It means a lot to us, and we really appreciate your comments as well. And many of you have said, now that we are doing new thumbnails, it makes it a whole lot easier to find things, and you're able to share them easier. So I'm going to keep doing them. I have a lot that we have produced over the past 3 years that I need to go back and see if I can pluck a frame from the video to use as a thumbnail. But going forward, we're going to do much better thumbnails, and we hope that that helps you out. Okay, so on these mushrooms, the way that we dehydrate them, as I have been reading, is they need to be blanched, steam blanched for 2 to 3 minutes. So as soon as I got home from work, I cut all of these in about 1/4 inch slices, and I'm going to put them in this little basket. I have a pot of boiling water over there on the stove. I kind of want to pack them a little bit loosely, and I'm going to put these in that pot. We're going to let them steam blanch for 2 minutes, and then we'll be back. All right, here they are. They're steamy, a little drippy, and I'm going to load it up again and get another batch started, and then we'll spread those. As soon as I took these out of the package, I put them in a sink of cold water and just swished them around a little bit, just enough to take the growing medium off of them. And then I cut them and put them in that big bowl. Whew, those were hot. I'm thinking I want kind of a single layer here, so I'm going to move some to this one. I'm going to go put these in the dehydrator, and then we will finish getting these all loaded. When we come back, we'll show you the full dehydrator, and I'll let you know what settings I'm going to use. So I'll spread this one, and then we'll take it over to the dehydrator and take a look to see what we're doing over there. So I'll see you over there in a minute. All right, I'm slipping this last one in. We have 6 trays, putting the door in, turning it on, and I am setting the temperature for, it's at 158. I'm going to leave it there. And for the timer, I always set my timer as high as it will go so that it won't turn off in the middle. We'll be checking it. I don't think it's going to take 19.5 hours, which is as high as my timer goes. I'm guessing probably about 10, but I'll let you know how many hours later. Now we're going to go back over and do some freeze-dry trays. For dehydrating, the suggestion is to steam blanch for 2 to 3 minutes. That preserves the color the texture and the flavor of the mushrooms. So the research says. For freeze drying, there's no real information that I could find on how to do it. So we're going to do a little experiment. I'm going to do 2 trays where we've blanched ahead of time and 2 trays where we have not. And then we're going to compare. We'll see which dehydrates better, see which looks better, tastes better, and so forth. So these that I just put in over here are ready to go, so I'll bring them over and we'll fill our first tray. We have 4 trays now ready to go out into the regular freezer to freeze overnight, and then first thing in the morning we will put them in the freeze dryer. So these 2 trays are the ones that were blanched for a couple of minutes, and these are the non-blanched ones. So it will be fun to see the difference in how they turn out. When we come back in a couple of days, we will tell you one of the fun and exciting things we're going to do with some of these dried mushrooms. So we'll see you when all of these are done. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to share these results with you. This is some of the most exciting drying of any food that I've ever done. So the dehydrated are right here, and this is the second batch. Here's the first batch, 6 trays of dehydrated mushrooms, and they took about 10 hours at 150. These are the ones that were blanched, and these are the ones that we didn't do anything to. And I've tasted both of them. I really can't taste a difference. I won't know for several months whether or not one keeps better than the other. I just don't have any idea. I am so thrilled to have these options for mushrooms, and so grateful to Cindy, my sister, who suggested this in the first place. So Cindy, thank you. And I'll be sharing some with you because I know that you don't have a dehydrator or a freeze dryer. So anyway, these are, I'm going to just put a few. And in each of these bowls, I just have some warm, almost room temperature tap water right here. So we're going to see how they dehydrate while we're doing other things. So we'll leave these in place for a few minutes. My mind has just been racing over the possibilities for these mushrooms, and I'm already working on something that I'm going to share, and that is a dry mix for cream of mushroom soup. I just right now can't decide whether I want to use the dehydrated or the freeze-dried, so I will probably use both, and I'll test it out. And then beyond that, I have some exciting ideas for what we can do with that mushroom soup mix, and some other things that we're going to be dehydrating here pretty quickly. This always goes to self-reliance and food security for sure. And it's nice for emergency preparedness too. Mushrooms are really wonderful. They have a lot of antioxidants, so they help get rid of those free radicals in our body, which is really good. They have fiber, they have some vitamins, and so this is a great thing to have on our food storage shelves. Now, we have out in our food storage a big old gallon of dried mushrooms that we got from Costco. Jim, how long ago do you think? 5
years.
Oh, it's been, I think, more than that. I was going to say 5.
I don't know.
Anyway, from 2 to 5 years old. And we have recently used those in some beef stroganoff that we did, and they're perfectly fine. So I expect that after we vacuum seal these, they're going to last for a really long time as well. Okay, so let's check. These are already dehydrated. Now they are more limp than their fresh counterparts. I'm going to taste. The taste is great. Texture is just a little bit rubbery. These that were blanched, let's try them. They seem to not be so droopy. The taste is pretty close. I like these just a little bit better. It's more close to the original. So we'll set these 2 aside. I don't think that the dehydrated ones are ready yet. They are not. So let's jar up some of these freeze-dried ones. They're just as light as a feather. And we like to put our freeze-dried foods in these 2-quart jars and then vacuum seal them. I like to do ingredients more than I like to do meals, but I do both. A lot of people do like the entire meal in a jar type of an approach. And I'm going to be using these for that in a video coming up fairly soon as well. And because I kept them in whole slices, that gives us options of being able to chop them. We can chop them before we rehydrate them, or in some cases we won't even have to rehydrate them at all. We can just account for them by putting a little bit of extra water in the recipe. Okay, so that made 2 full quarts. And now for the non-blanched ones. All right, these are the unblanched ones, and obviously there's more volume here than the blanched ones. Okay, so let's pull these over and put them in a jar as well. Now these are soft because here they're snappy. They just break like potato chips. But here, they're soft. They have not regained any of their volume. The taste is very good. They just don't have the volume. But these would be perfectly fine in things like soups and stews, and I might use at least some of these in our cream of mushroom soup dry mix.
Potato salad.
Potato salad?
Sure.
Since when have I put mushrooms in potato salad?
Why not? Something different.
Remind me not to let you make the potato salad for the family.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm a lousy cook anyway.
Hardly. I will definitely be doing more mushrooms. I think I'm going to use these up pretty fast in some of the plans that I have inside my head. My head has just been swimming with ideas since I took the first batch out of the dehydrator. We ended up with 3 quarts of the dehydrated and about 5 quarts, just a little shy of 5 quarts of the freeze-dried. I'm going to vacuum seal these now. I won't do all of them on camera, but I do want to show you, we have a newer vacuum sealer. Our other one, we just noticed that some of the things that we had done with it a year or so ago have already just, the seals have broken. So we felt like we needed a new one. This is a Weston. We like it a lot. And these 2 attachments did not come with this. These are Food Saver attachments. And it just happens that the hose from the Food Saver does fit the external accessory port right here. So that was our lucky day. Many people have mentioned that they have a difficult time with regular size lids, and there are lots of fixes for that. I've seen the one that works best for me is that I don't even try to do it singly anymore because I always end up having to stop it. And then what I do is I take a second lid and I turn it upside down and put it there and just use that as a spacer. And it seems to work really well. Connect the hose. Turn it on, and accessory. And it pretty much works every time. Yes, it is sealed. Now, I use my vacuum sealer. I could also use an oxygen absorber. The vacuum sealer takes almost all of the air out of here, and the air, of course, includes, which is about 20% oxygen. It includes most of the oxygen. Oxygen is one of the enemies to preserved foods, and so we want to store this. The oxygen is mostly out. We want to store it in a cool, dark place, and that's what helps it keep long. Now, I expect these to last several years. they're not going to last that long because we'll use them up by then. But if we were going to be counting on that, I don't ever, with fresher foods like these, I don't count on them lasting 30 years. I like to rotate through things about every year or 2 years. Now I'm using the larger size, and it does not need a spacer situation most of the time. So I just put it on. Sometimes what I have to do, I just put my hand right here for a little extra weight, and it usually does it every single time. Lights right here, and it usually goes up to 4 lights and then hangs out there for a little while. If it doesn't start to move to 5 and 6 and 7 pretty quickly, I know that something is the matter, and so I will usually start over. So that one also has a good seal. All right, these will go out on our pantry shelf, out in our food storage area, and I'm excited that for the other things that we're going to show you, that we will be using with these in future videos. So thank you for joining us on this exciting video. I know some of you already have done mushrooms, and I know that some of you even grind it into powder and use mushroom powder. I'm just excited to have them in this form. This leaves me with the most versatility. If I want some powder, I can always grind up a little bit of powder. If I want them chopped and put in scrambled eggs in the morning, then I can chop them and do that. So I have a lot of versatility. So thanks for being with us, and I'm excited about our next video, and we will see you very shortly for that video.